The date is September 10th, 2025. The world is waking up to shocking news. Over the night, the war in Ukraine spilled over its borders. It happened in a way many had feared. Russian drones entered the airspace of Poland. This was not an accident. This was a direct violation of a NATO country's sovereignty. The skies over Eastern Europe suddenly became a flashpoint for a much wider conflict. The air was filled with the hum of engines. These were not commercial planes, they were weapons of war, crossing a line that was supposed to be unbreakable. The world held its breath. This was an unprecedented event. For the first time since the war in Ukraine began, a NATO member opened fire. Polish jets, along with Allied aircraft, scrambled into the dark sky. They had a clear mission. They needed to defend Polish territory. Loud sounds echoed across the Polish countryside. They were not thunder. They were explosions as air defense systems engaged the incoming threats. At least 3, maybe 4 Russian drones were shot down. This was a moment of direct military confrontation between Russia and the NATO alliance. The implications are enormous. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Airports in Poland, including Warsaw's main Chopin airport, shut down. Flights were cancelled. Travelers were left stranded. The closures were a necessary precaution. No one knew if more attacks were coming. The Polish government acted quickly. Leaders gathered for emergency meetings. Prime Minister Donald Tusk described the incident in stark terms. He called it a provocation on a grand scale. His words traveled around the globe. They signaled the seriousness of the situation. This was more than just a stray drone. This was a deliberate challenge. The world is now asking a simple, terrifying question. What comes next? The attack on Poland is not just an attack on one nation, it is a test of the entire NATO alliance. For years, leaders have said they would defend every inch of NATO territory. Now that promise is being put to the ultimate test. The events of last night have set in motion a chain reaction. Diplomatic channels are buzzing, military leaders are planning, and people everywhere are watching. They are hoping for peace but bracing for something much worse. The world has entered a dangerous new chapter. Poland did not hesitate. Its response was firm. It was swift. As soon as the Russian drones were detected, the Polish military went on high alert. The order was given: shoot them down. Polish F-16 fighter jets roared into the sky. They were joined by Allied planes already patrolling the region. The mission was a success. Several drones were destroyed before they could cause any harm. Debris rained down in rural areas. One drone was found in a village called Chosnauka. It was just 40 kilometers from the border with Belarus. This was proof. The threat was real. The military action was just the first step. Poland immediately turned to its allies. Prime Minister Donald Tusk made a crucial decision. He invoked Article 4 of the NATO Treaty. This article is a serious tool. It allows any NATO member to call for urgent consultations. It is used when a nation feels its security is threatened. This was exactly that moment. Tusk officially informed NATO that Poland's territory had been violated. He reported that at least 19 Russian drones had crossed into Polish airspace. The message was clear. Poland needs help. The alliance must act. The Polish government spoke with one voice. They wanted the world to understand the gravity of the attack. They called it unprecedented. This was not a minor incident. It was a calculated move by Russia. Polish leaders worked through the night. They spoke with their counterparts in the United States, the United Kingdom, and across Europe. They shared intelligence. They coordinated their next steps. The temporary closure of 4 Polish airports was a visible sign of the crisis. It showed that the government was taking every precaution to protect its citizens. The country was on a war footing. This moment is a defining one for modern Poland. The nation has long warned of the threat from Russia. It has been a strong supporter of Ukraine. Now, the war has come to its doorstep. Poland's reaction shows its strength and its commitment to the NATO alliance. By shooting down the drones, it demonstrated its military capability. By invoking Article 4, it showed its faith in collective defense. The Polish people are resilient. They have faced threats before. Today they stand united, looking to their allies for support. They are ready for what comes next. NATO's response was immediate. The call from Poland set off alarms in Brussels. An emergency meeting of the North Atlantic Council was called. Ambassadors from all 32 member states gathered. They were there to listen to Poland. They were there to decide what to do. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte set the tone. He called Russia's actions absolutely reckless and absolutely dangerous. He made it clear that it did not matter if the incursion was intentional or a mistake. The act itself was a violation that NATO could not ignore. The alliance was ready to act. The operation to shoot down the drones was a NATO effort. It was not just Poland acting alone. Dutch F-35s were in the air. German Patriot air defense systems on the ground were activated. An Italian surveillance plane helped track the drones. This showed the principle of collective defense in action. An attack on one is an attack on all. NATO forces were already in place. They were part of the alliance's enhanced vigilance on the eastern flank. When the call came, they were ready. This coordination proves that NATO is more than a paper treaty. It is a living, breathing military alliance. Leaders from across the alliance spoke out. Their words were strong and unified. U.S. President Joe Biden reaffirmed America's ironclad commitment to NATO. The U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, promised to defend every inch of NATO territory. In London, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the flagrant violation. French President Emmanuel Macron called the situation unacceptable. This chorus of voices sent a powerful message to Moscow. The alliance is not divided, it is united, it will not be intimidated. This unity is NATO's greatest strength. Now the alliance faces critical decisions. Article 4 consultations are underway. The next step could be to invoke Article 5. That is the cornerstone of NATO. It states that an armed attack against one member shall be considered an attack against them all. This has only been invoked once before, after the 9/11 attacks on the United States. Invoking Article 5 would mean a direct military response from the entire alliance. This is a step no one takes lightly. The world is watching to see if NATO's powerful words will be followed by even more powerful actions. Russia's reaction was predictable. It was a flat denial. The Kremlin immediately dismissed the accusations. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov called them baseless. He claimed this was just another provocation from the West. He said that NATO and the European Union create these stories daily. This is a common Russian tactic. When faced with evidence, they deny, deflect, and accuse others of spreading misinformation. They try to create confusion. They want to make people doubt what they see and hear. Moscow is painting itself as the victim, not the aggressor. The Russian Ministry of Defense also issued a statement. It said Russia had no plans to attack facilities on Polish territory. It claimed its drones and missiles were targeting military sites in western Ukraine. This explanation is unlikely to convince anyone. The drones flew deep into Polish airspace. One was found 40 kilometers from the border. This was not a simple navigation error. Yet Russia's envoy in Poland, Andrzej Ordash, demanded proof. He claimed Warsaw had not shown that the drones were even Russian. This is another part of the strategy: delay and demand impossible standards of evidence. Belarus, Russia's close ally, offered a different story. A significant number of the drones reportedly entered Poland from Belarusian airspace. The Belarusian Deputy Defense Minister, Pavel Muravyeka, had an excuse. He claimed the drones entered Poland by accident. He said their navigation systems were jammed. This is a convenient explanation. It tries to portray the incident as a technical problem, not a deliberate act of aggression. It also provides a layer of plausible deniability for Russia. Moscow can blame a technical glitch or an overzealous ally. Few in the West are buying it. This web of denial and conflicting stories is part of Russia's playbook. It is designed to sow doubt. It aims to weaken the resolve of Western nations. Some Western officials believe this was no accident at all. They see it as a deliberate test. Russia wanted to see how Poland and NATO would react. Would they be slow? Would they be divided? The swift and unified response may have surprised them, but Russia's narrative will not change. They will continue to deny their role. They will continue to blame the West. This information war is just as important as the events in the sky. So, this attack on Poland did not happen in a vacuum. It was part of a much larger assault. On the very same night, Russia launched a massive attack on Ukraine. Up to 415 drones and 40 missiles targeted cities all across the country. The main targets were actually in western Ukraine, right near the Polish border. This context is, honestly, crucial. Russia was trying to overwhelm Ukrainian air defenses. In the chaos of this huge attack, some drones, well, they were sent on a different path. They were sent into Poland. This was not a stray missile. It was part of a coordinated military operation. The Ukrainian government was among the first to react. They know Russia's tactics better than anyone. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky immediately called the incident an extremely dangerous precedent. He warned that this was a new step in the escalation of the conflict. He spoke with Polish leaders and with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. His message was urgent. He said Europe needs a joint air defense system. He called for an effective air shield to protect the entire continent. Ukraine sees this attack as proof of what it has been saying for years. Russia will not stop at Ukraine. For Ukraine, this moment is both a threat and an opportunity. It's a threat because it shows Russia is willing to take bigger risks. The war could easily spiral into a larger European conflict. But it is also an opportunity. Ukraine hopes this attack will wake up its Western partners. It hopes it will lead to more military aid. Specifically, Ukraine needs more advanced air defense systems. It wants to protect its skies and the skies of its neighbors. This incident, honestly, makes Ukraine's case for more support stronger than ever. It shows that defending Ukraine is the same as defending Europe. The Ukrainian Air Force confirmed what Poland saw. They reported that at least 8 Russian drones were tracked crossing the border into Poland. They shared this intelligence with their NATO partners. This cooperation is vital. Ukraine is, on the front lines of this war. Its soldiers and its people are fighting and dying every day. They are fighting for their own freedom, but they are also fighting for the security of Europe. The drones over Poland are a stark reminder of that fact. The war in Ukraine is not a distant problem, it is a problem for everyone. To understand this crisis, you must understand Poland. Look at a map. Poland sits at the heart of Europe. It is a bridge between the east and the west. To its east lie Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. To its west are Germany and the rest of the European Union. This location has shaped Poland's destiny for centuries. It has been a crossroads for trade and culture. But, it has also been a battlefield. Its geography has made it vulnerable. Throughout its history, Poland has been invaded by its powerful neighbors, including Russia. This history is etched into the nation's soul. The relationship between Poland and Russia is long and painful. For more than a century, large parts of Poland were controlled by the Russian Empire. After World War II, Poland fell under the Soviet Union's sphere of influence. It was a member of the Warsaw Pact, a military alliance controlled by Moscow. The Polish people never accepted this domination. They fought for their freedom. The Solidarity movement in the 1980s was a key moment. It helped lead to the fall of communism in Eastern Europe. Poland finally became a truly independent and democratic nation. This history explains why Poland is so wary of Russia today. Joining NATO in 1999 was a historic moment for Poland. It was a dream come true. For the first time, Poland had a security guarantee from the most powerful military alliance in the world. Being part of NATO means Poland is no longer alone. The alliance's Article 5 principle is its ultimate protection. This is why Poland has been such a dedicated member. It contributes to NATO missions. It has modernized its military. It has consistently warned its allies about the threat posed by an aggressive Russia. For Poland, NATO is not just an alliance, it is a lifeline. Today, Poland is a key NATO frontline state. It is a major hub for sending military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. It hosts thousands of allied troops, including a large American presence. Polish soldiers train alongside American, British, and German soldiers. This close partnership is designed to deter Russian aggression. The drone attack is a direct challenge to this deterrence. It tests the resolve of Poland and its allies. But Poland's history shows its people are strong. They value their freedom above all else. They will not be intimidated. They will stand their ground. Russia is a giant. It is the largest country in the world by land area. It stretches across 11 time zones from the borders of Europe to the shores of the Pacific Ocean. Its immense size gives it great strategic depth. It has vast natural resources, including oil and gas, which it uses as tools of foreign policy. This sheer scale is a source of both strength and weakness. It gives Russia a sense of power and destiny. But it also means it has long, difficult borders to defend. This size helps explain Russia's historical desire for a buffer zone of friendly states around it. Russia's military is one of the largest in the world. It has a huge arsenal of conventional weapons. It also possesses the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. This nuclear arsenal is the ultimate guarantee of Russia's security. It is also a source of fear for the rest of the world. Since the end of the Cold War, Russia has worked to modernize its military. It has invested in new tanks, planes, and missiles. It has also developed advanced capabilities in electronic warfare and cyber attacks. The war in Ukraine has exposed some weaknesses, but Russia remains a formidable military power. The mindset of Russia's leaders is shaped by a sense of history. They see Russia as a great power that deserves respect on the world stage. they feel that the West, and especially the United States, has tried to weaken and contain Russia since the collapse of the Soviet Union. NATO's expansion eastward is seen as a direct threat. They believe the West broke a promise not to expand the alliance. This feeling of being surrounded and disrespected fuels a nationalist and aggressive foreign policy. It helps explain the invasion of Ukraine and the willingness to challenge NATO directly. The drone attack on Poland fits into this worldview. From Moscow's perspective, it is a way to push back against what it sees as Western encroachment. It is a signal that Russia is not afraid to escalate. It is a test of NATO's unity and will to fight. By using drones launched from Belarus, Russia creates ambiguity. It allows for denial and deflection. It is a classic example of hybrid warfare, blending conventional military action with misinformation and political pressure. Understanding this combination of size, military power, and historical grievance is key to understanding why Russia acts the way it does. The news from Poland sent shockwaves around the world. Financial markets reacted instantly. Stock markets in Europe and Asia fell. The price of oil and gold went up. These are classic signs of global uncertainty. Investors are worried. They fear that the conflict could escalate into a wider war between Russia and NATO. Such a war would have a devastating impact on the global economy. It would disrupt supply chains, cause energy prices to skyrocket, and push the world into a deep recession. The economic stakes are incredibly high for everyone, not just for the countries directly involved. Leaders far beyond Europe are watching closely. In Beijing, the Chinese government is in a difficult position. It is Russia's most important partner, but it also has strong economic ties to Europe. A major war in Europe would be bad for Chinese business. China has called for calm and restraint, but it has not condemned Russia's actions. Its position is ambiguous. Other major powers like India and Brazil are also calling for diplomacy. They do not want to take sides. They are worried about the economic consequences of a larger conflict. The world is looking to these countries to see if they can help de-escalate the crisis. The United Nations is also mobilizing. The Secretary General has called for an emergency session of the Security Council, but the UN is often paralyzed in situations like this. Russia is a permanent member of the Security Council. It has the power to veto any resolution that condemns its actions. This makes it very difficult for the UN to act decisively. Still, the UN provides a crucial forum for diplomacy. It is a place where leaders can talk, even in the middle of a crisis. It is a place to keep the lines of communication open, which is essential to preventing a catastrophic miscalculation. For ordinary people around the globe, this is a moment of anxiety. The images of jets scrambling and the headlines about Article 4 are unsettling. It brings the threat of a major war closer to home. It reminds us that peace is fragile. The crisis in Poland is not just a regional issue. It affects global security. It affects the price of food and fuel. It affects the stability of the entire international system. Everyone has a stake in what happens next. The whole world is on edge, waiting and hoping that leaders will find a path back from the brink. The immediate future is uncertain. It is filled with danger. NATO is now in a period of intense consultation. Military planners are reviewing their options. These options range from increasing sanctions on Russia to strengthening NATO's military presence in Eastern Europe even further. They could deploy more troops, more jets, and more air defense systems to the region. The goal is to send an unmistakable message to Russia. The message is simple: do not do this again. The alliance will show its strength and resolve. Every move is being carefully calculated to avoid a direct, all-out war. Diplomacy is happening behind the scenes. Even as military tensions rise, channels of communication must remain open. The United States and Russia still have ways to talk to each other. These are called deconfliction lines. They are used to prevent accidents and miscalculations between their militaries. These conversations are now more important than ever. Diplomats will be working to understand Russia's intent. Was this a mistake, or was it a deliberate escalation? The answer to that question will shape NATO's response. The goal is to de-escalate the crisis without appearing weak. It is a difficult balancing act. This moment forces us all to think. We must consider the world we live in. For years, many people believed a major war in Europe was impossible. The attack on Ukraine shattered that belief. The drone attack on Poland is another wake-up call. It shows that the post-Cold War era of peace and stability is over. We are in a new era of great power competition. This is a time of confrontation. It requires vigilance, it requires strong alliances, it requires citizens to be informed and engaged. We cannot afford to be complacent. The security we have taken for granted is now under threat. So, what can you do? Stay informed. Read from reliable sources, understand the facts, talk about what is happening, discuss it with your friends, your family, and your community. Ask tough questions. What should our leaders do? What are the risks of action? What are the risks of inaction? Your voice matters. Public opinion shapes the decisions of democratic governments. In a moment of crisis, an informed and engaged public is essential. The path forward is being written right now. It is a story that involves us all. The future of peace and security in Europe and the world hangs in the balance.